Hi there, I'm Nils, and today I'm going to show you how to install cabinet poles and knobs on cabinetry. And in this case we've got a new install that we're doing. This will also apply if you have existing knobs or poles that you want to replace. So let's take a look at some of the things that we're going to need to get started today. So as you see over here, we've got our new knobs and poles. We bought a bag or a set of these, enough to do the whole kitchen, and you can order these on Amazon, or you can get them at Lowe's or Home Depot or a local hardware store. Or any other website, of course. So we've got a drill to make things easier. One of the easiest things we've got here to make this whole job a lot easier is this template kit for mounting knobs and poles. And so this has enough to do the drawers and then cabinets as well, cabinet doors. And it's got all different locations and sizes on here so that you can make it work for you. So that also comes with a 3/16 drill bit, 3/16 inch drill bit that we're going to use to drill the holes when we're ready for that. So we'll load that in there. Then we've got a pencil for marking, a tape measure so that we can measure the center of our drawers, and then we've also got a Phillips drive bit. So to get started, what we want to do, we'll start with the knobs. These are a little bit easier than the poles. We've already selected, there's different holes you can select on here to see which ones you like. We've picked the one that we think works best on this one. So let's go ahead and get this part ready. Alright, so in this case we've selected this hole here, and I'm just going to mark this a little bit with the pencil so we can know each time that that's the one we want to work on. And all we need to do is just use the pencil to mark that. So we'll just kind of trace that circle there, and then we're going to go over to the other side and do the same thing. Okay, so we'll go through the kitchen and we'll mark each one of these first. And then as soon as we're done with that, we can go ahead and, well, first what we need to do is test how thick the cabinet door is. The screws that came with this are about 1 inch long, and we've got to make sure that they're going to get all the way through and have enough room sticking out the other side to grab onto the pole. And in this case, or onto the knob, and in this case, we're going to be alright. There's about 1/8 of an inch or more that it'll grab onto. So once we've got those marked, all we need to do is go ahead and line up our drill bit. And through we go. Okay, and then we're going to pop this through the back side, and we have about that much sticking off, which should work out just fine for us. And then we can hold this screw in place with one finger, one hand, and thread it on, if it'll grab, there we go, with the other. And then I'll come back when we're done and tighten these all down really good with the drill if we need to. In this case, I think hand tight is just fine. That's not going anywhere. And now we've got our first knob on there. And then for the drawers, the poles, it's the same type of thing. So what I've done is I've gone through and made a mark on the halfway point of each of the drawers. And to do that, all we need to do is find out the whole distance, which in this case is 31 1/8. And so that puts us at 15 9/16 is the center mark of that. And if it's not perfect, I think it'll be all right, but get it as close as you can. It's going to make a difference. So with that, we're going to get out our other template, and there's a center mark on here on the template itself, so we can line up the center with that line, and then we can mark our holes. And we've already placed this, and we've looked at the template to see which set of holes we need to use. So it's these inside holes that will line up best, and then we've also selected which ones, as far as how far down we want to do it. So we're going to put ours right there. Okay, like before, we're going to go ahead and mark, and this time we've got a marker so we can see better which holes we're going to drill, just to make it easier to remember as we go throughout the kitchen and get all of the drawers marked and drilled. And with those on there, again, we're going to line up our center line here, place it on, and drill these guys. Okay, now these ones have supporting wood in the back, and so these are actually quite a bit thicker. They're about that thick. So in this case, we have a couple of options. We can, in this case, I still want them in the middle. We don't want them up high, even though that would make the job easier. We're going to have to drill out the back a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and drill the second one, and then we'll show you what we have to do to make this work. Alright, so for this hole, we've got twice the thickness here, and that is just too much for this screw to fit all the way through. And we really want it back down to just this one drawer pull, or this one face of the drawer like we did with the cabinet up above. So what we're going to want to do is take a drill bit that is larger than the diameter of this screw head here, like this one. So I've got a 1/2 inch drill here that we're going to use. And we're going to drill this not all the way through, just through this piece of wood right here. And what that's going to allow us to do is slip this one in most of the way through, but not all the way through, and then we can tighten it down. So let's go ahead and get started on that. We already have our 2 holes drilled, so those act as a pilot hole for this one. One thing I forgot to do that we can do to make life a little bit easier is we can measure the distance from this distance, which looks like about 5/8. We're going to measure that from here to there and put some tape around here so we have a visual indicator of where to stop. Alright, so I couldn't find the tape. We just moved in and everything's kind of scattered around, so we just need some indicator. So these are chrome colored drill bits, so I just went ahead and drew at my 3/4 inch mark right here. So now, just like before, making sure I'm out of the way, and we'll try it again. There we go. Okay, so that's a great distance right there. So we'll go ahead and thread both of these in. Okay, and then now we can go ahead and put our knobs on. Now since these are recessed back in the hole, it'll be a lot easier to use a drill bit for this. There we go. And so we'll take these and kind of push them back. There we go, get that lined up, and then we can start to let that grab. Okay. We've got some cleanup to do, and then we can just wipe off that center mark that we had, and now we have a nice pole that's centered and should be consistent throughout the kitchen. Okay, here we are, we're all set. We finished putting all the knobs and poles in, and we learned a couple of things along the way. One, you want to make sure that when you're drilling the holes that they don't come too far out, the screws don't come too far out of the drawer, because then they'll bottom out in the knobs or poles, so you got to make sure they stick out just far enough that they'll go in and pull snugly on those, but not too far. Also, if you don't have a template, you don't need to use a template, and that's okay. You can just use a tape measure or a ruler and measure where the marks intersect, and that's fine too. And then a drill to either tighten the screws on the knobs or poles. You can either use that or a screwdriver. We found it just as easy to use a screwdriver to tighten those down, because you don't want to overdo it. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below, and check out some of our other videos. We've got lots of videos on how to fix things and build things and do things around the home, and thanks for watching.